So you're never going to believe it when I tell you that I had some tech trouble with my earlier video. The sound was all crazy, so here we are starting from scratch. You will need to watch the video on Amoeba Sisters, Dichotomous Keys. You can get to that from Google Classroom or the learning plan. Once you've watched that, you can continue with watching me help you figure this out. One of the reasons why I wanted to make a video to go with this is because the vocabulary on here is probably new to you and it's big and scary. So I wanted to make sure that you didn't shut down just because the words were big. So I have embedded a couple hints over here to define these words for you in case they're new to you. So we're going to come across the word prokaryote today. Pro rhymes with no. It means before. These are cells that do not have a nucleus. Instead, their DNA is free floating. Whereas eukaryotes, you do have a nucleus that holds all the DNA. We are eukaryotes. Plants are eukaryotes. Fungi are eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are mostly bacteria. Oh no. You're also going to come across this word peptidoglycan, and it's just a fancy type of protein sugar molecule. And it is part of some cell walls in some bacteria. It doesn't matter if you can pronounce it or not, as long as you just know that it's part of a cell wall. And then the next two words are autotroph and heterotroph. Autotroph, auto means self, troph is to feed. These are plants and bacteria that can make their own food through photosynthesis or chemosynthesis. Whereas heterotrophs are like me and you and your dog and plant and fungus. We have to eat and consume our food in order to get energy. So those take care of your vocabulary. If we look in here, you're seeing that when we read the directions, we're actually going to be translating into the Latin, or not translating, figuring out the name of these organisms in Latin. So don't be upset about this. It's not in English. You might recognize some of these root words, but all you have to do is transfer them from here to one of these answers. Oh, it looks like somebody wrote on this one. We'll have to see if they're correct, I suppose. All right, so on a dichotomous key, I need to write my steps and hopefully come up with the name. I have 5 organisms up here. One is an amoeba, which is, it feeds, which means it's a heterotroph, has a nucleus, and it's small. That's a micrometer, it's very small. Plants, organism B is in the plant family. It is photosynthetic, meaning that it goes through the process of photosynthesis, so it's an autotroph. It has many cells that all have nuclei, which is plural for nucleus, and it's big. Organism C is a type of bacteria that does not have a nucleus, but it does have a cell wall with that crazy pepto thing. Again, small. Mushrooms eat decaying matter. They're decomposers, and therefore they are heterotrophs. They are multicellular, meaning more than one cell, and each of those cells has its own nucleus. And these are big enough to be seen with the naked eye. And then the last one is archaeon, which is referring to like archaic, really freaking old bacteria, probably one of the first living things. Lacks a nucleus, very simple cell, DNA is just floating inside of it. Does not have that fancy amino acid sugar in its cell wall. And again, microscopic. So now we want to figure out what their Latin names are. And I'm just going to follow my dichotomous key directions while recording the steps that I've taken. I'm going to skip organism A because it looks like they did it in the video for you. Organism B, I'm going to start with reading both options next to number 1. 1A says that the cell is prokaryotic and 1B says that the cell is eukaryotic. Well, organism B is a plant, and that plant is multicellular and has nuclei. Therefore, we are going to go with eukaryotic. So we're following 1B. This person is correct. And then we are going to go to 3A. I don't even have to read number 2. Jump to 3A, or 3. Is it autotrophic, meaning it makes its own food, or is it heterotrophic, meaning it eats? Well, it's a plant. It's autotrophic. Therefore, we've dead-ended at chlorophytum comosum. So we've typed that here. Good job, whoever did this. Let's see if we can now identify what bacteria this is. So I'm going to start back at number 1. That bacteria is a prokaryote. Pro rhymes with no. It didn't have a nucleus. So I'm going to go to step 2. Step 2 says the cell walls either have that special protein or they do not have that special protein. Oh no, what if I don't know? Go back and just read the description. This one does contain. So I'm going to go with 2A. So the steps I followed were 1A and 2A, and now I have Escherichia coli, which is E. coli. You might have had that before. Organism D. I'm going to start back at number 1. Organism D is a mushroom, remembering that that's multicellular and eats. So multicellular, all with nuclei, means that I'm eukaryotic. So I'm going to go to 3, and I'm going to record that I followed 1B. Are mushrooms autotrophic or heterotrophic? They have to eat. Therefore, they are heterotrophic. Hetero means different or other. So they eat other things, which means I'm going to go to number 4 and record that I followed step 3B. I go to 4. 4, it's either multicellular or unicellular. Well, this specific example of a mushroom is multicellular. And I dead end at 4A at Agaricus bisporus. Bi, you should know, is 2. Spores are how they reproduce. And now our last organism, E, was that archaeon, that really ancient bacteria. So it's a prokaryote, so I'm going to record 1A and go to step 2. Its cell wall does not, it lacks that peptidoglycan. So now I am going to dead end at 2B, and my organism's name is Methanopyrus candelari. Hopefully you got them all right, and this was just a nice review for you, and you didn't just copy these answers down. Reading and using a dichotomous key is really useful. You will run into them again in your science classes and throughout your science careers. And we're going to kind of segue into these Latin names too. So there's a reason why I gave you this worksheet with these crazy Latin names on it. All right, please let me know if you have any questions. Shoot me an email and I will help you. All right, thanks, bye.